Okay, game 6. Minionpawn leading 3-2 in this league match against Alexconga.
Yep. So this is the final game of the set. Let's get into it. There is the kind of funny thing I see on the board. The first thing that jumped out at me is Rebuild Tunnel.
It jumped out to me as well. Skulk is pretty nice for most of the deck builds you have here, but maybe Militia is just too good as an open.
I think I prefer Militia. The high roll might be like Militia and Enchantress and hope they don't collide. I guess even if they collide, you can frog one of them. So I think I like that.
And the way one thing, having tunnels makes Militia feel not as bad because you're gaining golds, but it's tough to buy a province with a 3-card hand.
All right, so Alex goes for a tunnel. They might be going for the Rebuild Tunnel thing.
Yeah,
I probably need to pair that with a Militia. Yeah.
I'm thinking if you repair it with Skulk, but Militia probably seems like the best. Minionpawn now hits 5 naturally, and we'll see if they go for that.
Okay. So develop and rebuild don't super go together, although I guess you can turn estates into tunnels here. But are you... I don't know. Let's see if they're planning on playing rebuild or just using rebuild as a tunnel trigger.
Yeah. So, Alex bought a tunnel. You hit 5 with 5 coppers. You got to buy a rebuild here, right? As Minionpawn, I think you frog the Militia there, just because Alex has got very few coppers in this next hand, and the Militia is probably not going to hurt them. They also didn't have a tunnel in the last hand, so they could have had a tunnel in this hand. But they frogged the other way. I think that could have gone worse for Minionpawn because it was pretty likely actually that Alex had a tunnel in their hand last turn. Frog is non-terminal, so you could start to do things like consider frogging this rebuild with the tunnel in hand.
Yeah, it's non-terminal, but it's -1 card, essentially.
Yeah. I'm just thinking that the rebuild is sad here without a tunnel to discard for gold.
Yeah.
Unless they're actually going for rebuild strats where the tunnel's just ancillary.
Yeah, Secret Passage could help set that up, sure.
Secret Passage can help a lot. You can,
which is great.
You can bottom deck, the Duchy or something, and then guarantee to flip your whole deck over. There's some good stuff you can do with Secret Passage and rebuild. It's awkward because you rarely have the $4 price point doesn't come up that often in a rebuild deck, and often you end up skipping the Secret Passage with rebuild anyways. So we'll see. So when I'm thinking rebuild tunnel, I'm not actually thinking I'm thinking that I'm going to be buying provinces with all the golds that I have, not that I'm going to be using rebuild to gain value.
Yeah.
Not to using rebuild as my pit when I'm thinking about using mostly golds and a little bit of rebuild.
Yeah, I still think you want to, if you're playing rebuild tunnel, you want to turn your 3 starting estates into provinces if you're not killing them.
Yeah.
But my goal certainly isn't to play the traditional rebuild of get a couple rebuilds, then duchies, then mill provinces. I want to get a ton of gold, buy provinces, and then maybe mill some to end the game with rebuild.
Yeah. And the engine looks really hard to get going here, just because develop is the only trashing, and there's both Militia and Enchantress, although if you're playing the engine, you're able to get Enchantress in play every turn. The rebuild deck is going to do a lot worse.
Yeah, there's just when the only draw is Enchantress, very hard to build an engine. Well, Enchantress is the draw mala.
Yeah. Alex hits 3, and again, these decks, before the stuff gets going, they're going to hit 3 a lot. I think I named Duchy here. That was quite unfortunate that Estate was the top card of the deck and they weren't able to find any tunnels.
Well, if they found a tunnel, they would have trashed it.
Ah.
They named Dachi.
So really, you want to be naming tunnel every time, right?
Unless you're unless you don't want more gold and you want to rebuild up, yes.
Yeah. I wonder even if you're like developing estates into tunnels as your primary.
Yeah. I mean, for rebuild tunnel to be as effective as possible, you don't want other green in your deck, or at least if you do have other green, you want it all to be the same card.
Yeah.
Okay, develop some militia into a rebuild in the Caravan Guard.
Yeah,
so Nerdbound likes the engine here.
Yeah, I mean, you've got villages, you've got some draw, you've got somewhat slowish trashing, you've got animal fare for big payload.
And you have an attack. You have 2 attacks. You have 3 attacks. So certainly, if you can consistently be throwing Enchantress, Militias, and Hexes at your opponent, that's going to slow him down a lot.
Or just that it seems tough to get that deck up and running in
yes, 13 I agree.
Turns. Like, I think if either of these players had just gone monolithic rebuild and ignored tunnel, they would be further along.
Yeah, I don't know if rebuild tunnel is actually good. It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of like village green rebuild, right? You can do it. I bought a harvest the other day just so I could flip over a village green for the effect. And like, it was a terrible card for my deck, but the one time it worked, it was very exciting.
I've bought harvest in total of 1 game. It was a league game, and I won.
Nice.
I literally think I've bought it in 1 game.
I know I have bought Philosopher's Stone, but it was a keep game, so you can't really count it. Like, you had to get the potion for keep, and then you have to get Philosopher's Stone for keep. And actually, keep games tend towards big junky decks anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But it's in those list of cards that...
I definitely have played Peastone a bunch. Like, I'm a big fan of gaining them off heroes and things like that. Even when they're only worth 3, it's just more fun.
Yeah. So, as often happens...
Duchies have gone.
Yeah. So now the rebuilds get a little sad because they both still have a state. I guess you could turn estates into tunnels. You just keep naming tunnel, and then eventually you'll start hitting provinces, but you're kind of going to be okay with that.
So it looks like Alex is pretty over terminaled.
Yeah, they did find a village, which is nice with their 4 terminals, and they can top deck something, or they can frog something. Not even quite sure what you do. I guess you stick develop somewhere in the middle, and you top deck animal fare. Or you could top deck Enchantress and buy a province.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that seems like the best thing. Yeah, and then develop just kind of gets relegated somewhere to the bottom of the deck.
I mean, you could always develop animal fares into provinces.
Actually, yes. I think there, maybe that is even a spot to do it. Because you also get a gold out of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 1 less terminal, and then you can play the Enchantress next turn for the draw. The cities, I guess, are activated now. But again, the decks are so big, it seems like it's going to be tough.
So yeah, I'm guessing they named tunnel? At some point, they're going to have to start naming province. They name a state. That's rough.
Yeah, you want to turn the estate into a tunnel, not the other way around. Yeah. Or the tunnel into it stays as a tunnel. And pass turn, which is good. You definitely don't want to be buying estates in a rebuild deck.
No, especially with no duchies left.
So this is another tough spot. I think you...
Do they not see that you can develop animal fares?
That is my guess. It's weird. Like, it's a weird... You never actually spend $7 on it, so it doesn't feel like emotionally like it should cost 7. But I've developed a King's Court into a province before. It's okay. It feels a lot worse with King's Court, but you're very much aware of King's Court costing 7 because it, often it's the whole point of the game is how do you hit 7 to buy King's Court versus this game, which is how do you have an action in hands to gain an animal fair. Yeah, the estates feel...
No, I don't think you want to buy an estate there.
Worse than nothing.
Yeah.
Although they've probably learned their lesson and are not going to name estate again.
Alex names estate and somehow doesn't hit any of their tunnels.
I think they only have the one in hand.
Okay.
I was going to say they're triggering a shuffle, but they almost cleared that shuffle completely out.
Yeah, and rebuild makes shuffles just happen so quickly that you don't really have to worry about stuff being out of your shuffle. She'll play rebuild once and then everything's back in.
Yeah, I think more rebuilds is what I want as Alex. That's how you get more victory points. It seems like they're trying to do both like a half of an engine and a rebuild thing. So Minionpawn can bottom deck a province and name tunnel.
Top decks it, so elects to mill a province.
Not crazy about that.
I mean, this is how rebuild should look when it's played as best as possible, which is it gets some points and then it just wins by milling provinces. It's not particularly good at score. Oh God, it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah, not much you can do there. I think the thing is they have 2 duchies. I think they both have duchies, so not much Minionpawn can do there. Like, it feels bad, but I don't think I would ask for an undo here.
I mean, yeah, I don't think you grant an undo here.
There is no new info revealed, but it's
a little sketchy.
Are you gonna get 2 coppers? I would have considered estate into tunnel by tunnel there. If you're just trying to end the game. But again, the more non-duchies you have, the more green cards you have that aren't duchy or province, the harder it is for you to end the game. We'll see if Alex spots the develop animal fair here, where it's pretty obvious here. It's the only thing you can do. Otherwise, you hit 7, which is not a useful price point.
Come on, Alex, you can do it. There's 2 action cards in your hand, and they go together. Definitely going into a big thing here.
Yeah, I mean, if they didn't spot it before, it's possible that just like in their mind, Animal Fair doesn't cost 7, so they're not thinking about it, and then it's tough too once you've looked at it once and decided to not made it as a possible thing. It's really tough to see it again the second time. Nice being able to react to these caravan guards. They kept 1 for pigging purposes in case they do a rebuild. I guess that's reasonable.
Seems like a good idea to me.
Now I think you have to take tunnels, but you're not happy about it. And Alex finding all of their actions together here. I think this will very likely can be a win for them.
What does that do, Mala?
It gives you another buy from Animal Fair.
That is true.
And then you can buy... I don't know how you get to 4 estates and a province, though. Here? But you can play a rebuild and hope to find a duchy. You can develop an animal fair into... Oh, you could have also, leveled up the cities. You can play a rebuild and name province, and then you can develop an animal fair. Or develop militia into tunnel. Whatever. Yeah, there's definitely some things you can do here. I think it's sort of contingent on what the rebuild hits when they play it. I certainly like playing the rebuild first just to make sure I see what's happening. So to go back to the very beginning of this game, we talked about rebuild tunnel. That was the 4th total gold gained.
Yeah. Seems they decided to focus more on the rebuild side of it.
So probably all of those tunnels should have been silvers this whole game. Or caravan guards or whatever, some enchantresses, but mostly silvers. So what we're saying is at the beginning of this turn, after playing one city, Alex could have developed like a militia or developed something into a tunnel, and then the tunnel pot would have been empty and the cities would have given plus coin, plus buy. The animal fair would have given plus buy, so it would have been very possible for them to buy like province and the rest of the estates, something like that. Especially if their rebuild hits something good. I assume they're thinking now, what do they want to gain? What do they want to name when they play this rebuild? I think the answer to that is tunnel. And
do they have any more estates? No. Okay. They could risk it and develop this A fair here.
Yeah. If they develop the A fair, they can buy a tunnel. If they play the A fair, they can buy an estate. So that seems like...
No.
Yeah, it looks like they just aren't...
I mean, that's fine. They have enough money here.
Well, if they did it the other way, they would have an extra gold and an extra coin that they could have bought a tunnel with.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, they have another chance.
Win in hand. Oh. Yay!
So they were choosing not to earlier, or they finally spotted it. But nice find by Alex. Ends up being an even match, 3-3. Well played by both players.
All right. Well, congrats to both players on doing equally well, and we'll see you guys around. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Killerts, and thanks to the players for letting us commentate. See you later.